a software security company, experienced budget cuts because they weren't meeting their revenue goals. The CRO suggested that they cut one of their newer products because the pipeline in Salesforce for this product was very lean. When the company announced the product phase-out, the sales team was flooded with angry calls and emails from customers. The sales leaders, shocked themselves, sent those customer complaints along to leadership, asking why they had decided to do this. Didn't they know that there were many customers considering switching over to this product from a competitor due to its innovative technology? When the sales team was asked why that demand was not reflected in their pipeline, the team shared that the information on these opportunities were in the account notes section of their CRM. If the company had ThunderAct, they would have been able to see how often the new product name was documented across the CRM, instead of being limited to only the opportunities and the products they included. A promotion around the product might have resulted in much better results. To learn more about ThunderAct's incredible AI-powered data analysis and business advisory capabilities, visit ThunderAct.com to start a free trial.
All right, we are back. Super excited for Adi's presentation coming up on customer engagement data. Adi, whenever you're ready.
Hey, Ashley. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Let me try to share my screen. Let's see if that works. So hold on, just bear with me. This seems to look okay.
Yep, looks great.
Okay, great. So again, my name is Adi. Thank you for joining, and thanks for Noi for the opportunity. And I just heard Reuven, and I was just wondering for myself, like, what's more challenging, do product management in the time of pandemic or to be a speaker after Reuven? So interesting. So great speak, Reuven. So a bit about myself before I jump into the important product of the product, the important topic of the product management in time of pandemic. So I led and had the opportunity to lead a small to a very large product management and business development organization at the market leading and recognized brands like SAP and HP. I'm going to talk and mention more of that and use some of the examples in my talk. Currently, I'm managing partner is Copia, growth partners, and we're a consulting and advisory shop. We're mainly focusing on strategy and change management, sales and business development, operations, merger and acquisition. So in this talk of the product management in times of extremely uncertainty, it's not only about the uncertainty that we all know as product managers, about our product, the MVP is in place in the right scope, the product market fit is the right one. We're talking here obviously on something much bigger than that, and an uncertainty on the whole industries, our job, I mean, and everything is in the air. So different questions like, are we going to have another wave? How quickly the vaccine will happen? So while we feel that everything is heading to the right direction, I mean, all those different things are out there. But my specific, the specific angle that I'd like to focus on and take is more like the data-driven product management in time of pandemic, or if you like generally speaking, in time of crisis. So I mean, there are many different ways to think about it, for sure. From there, many different angles. What I wanted to, what I'm going to do, and I'd like to do in at least in this talk, while I'm sure, I'm confident that you already deep into trying to figure things out, I'm trying to take it more from the data-driven approach to the product management, and specifically the examples that I'm going to use and the framework that I'm going to start with and share are more specific from the space I'm very familiar with, which is the B2B enterprise software space. Now, to try to make this talk very pragmatic and hopefully useful, I mean, I've separated into two. I mean, I started with a little bit more framework, and then walk you through the thinking and the process and the way that we took decisions with one of a large public company on an early stage product that they try to bring to the market, scratch their heads for a while, and how we could actually step in and help for the global organization of their product management. So just to start off and to put things in perspective, and put it in a timeline, because it just feels like it's always here. We could kind of barely remember how was it before that. Actually, the COVID-19 reported it the first time, at least officially. There were rumors for sure before that, at December 31st last year. Around mid of February, the World Health Organization announced it as a pandemic. And the shelter in place just took place just about a month after, and here we are today at June. So overall, again, from a pure business perspective, if you think about it, we're just about to finish the first full quarter for those that the fiscal year started January, of kind of trying to deal with all of that. So naturally, there's a lot of different questions, and so now let's just start to kind of zoom in. I just wanted to put things a little bit in perspective. So in many organizations, and it's kind of naturally, I mean, we as product management kind of tend to think that we are the center of the world and everything is important equally to what we are doing. I mean, naturally, many different organizations are the initial focus was during this coronavirus crisis was been to impact the employee overall. I mean, looking into the marketing, looking into the kind of into the sales specifically. So not as an immediately serve, there are implications obviously for product management and action of product management that can be taken, actually should be taken. In product management, managers can take several actions, and then that's going to kind of what I'm about to share with you. But just again, just to kind of to zoom out for just a little bit, just before zooming into the product managers, the words in particular. I mean, the marketers are trying to think about, like, the marketer are trying to deliver a virtual experience while in-person events canceled. Sales teams are grappling with selling in the age of pandemic. They cannot see their customers in person and trying to figure out that way. And in all of that mess, I mean, the customer success is just out there in the front line. So again, as I said, naturally, and I'm sure that you can relate to that, to be realistic, I mean, to see organization first order kind of business is not be necessarily the product management. I mean, keep employees safe and concern of the employees' experience, communicate to their clients and to their customers, and to ensuring that the company stays in business all take precedence. After all, if a tree is about to fall over, I mean, first make sure that it doesn't hurt anyone and damage any property, and making a picnic table of the wood from a falling tree, I mean, definitely can come later. So I know that, like, as a product managers, we try to in some cases keep going and start to innovate and so on, but again, let's just take a little bit more a practical and realistic approach here. So when I'm talking about this framework and how to think about it, and how to think about it from data-driven perspective, like I thought that, like, there's 4 key things that could be important and interesting to keep in mind. The first one, and I think it's super important, it's always true. I mean, everything here is actually, I think it's always true, and in a regular time. But I think that's now it's getting even more in this crisis situation, is keep close to your users and to your customers. I mean, during the month that follow, the changing environment will first impact those at the front line, which are the users you're actually offering your product for. Just make it as a habit to gather all this information and analyze all the data. And then again, I'm going to talk about the different tools and methodologies to use it, to understand the usage of your offering in the specific area, as well as the new users types and that increases in volume. So that would be my first one. The second one is we tend to sit at home alone in our home office and think that has kind of pretty much defined the world and what's going kind of out there. and it's kind of comfortable to just go and do our thing without opening our eyes. But basically, working remote doesn't mean to you that you're working alone. As a product managers, there's a lot of different opportunities and information out there, and I'm going to call for a few, and specifically forge alignment with your customer success, the support organization, and any other teams within the organization. Yes, they're not sitting or co-located next to you, but it's definitely, you should this time, because the communication channels outside to the customers and to the external world is now limited, or at least changed. I think there's a lot of precious information on their systems, in their heads, in their everywhere, that you must take advantage these days. So again, talk and with the customer success team, and just pick that as an example that are in the front line with the customers, both the buyers and the users, and often here's product request first, then everyone else. Just kind of pick the information there. Many organizations lack of any formal handoff from one team to the other. That's the time to ask everyone to document, instrument, use all the different tools to do that, and take advantage of all this very, very precious data that's just laying out there. The third one is, I would say, continuously reevaluate your assumption in the process offering. I think that we are living in the world of uncertainty, and the assumptions that made a major offer like a few weeks ago, a few months ago, and the budget have likely changed. And with all of that change, I mean, the size of the market might change, the price levels might not be relevant. So all those different aspects, I mean, I think it should be consistently reevaluate and rethink, and don't standing still. And last but not least, identify the area of improvement efficiency to reduce the risk. And what I mean by that is that with company operating in a few resources and lack on a short of different resources, some seeking for the market quickly, and there's a different gaps, and you try to kind of find some shortcuts, and those shortcuts are not necessarily the one that will improve the efficiencies, and they will reduce the risk. Actually, in some cases, and actually increase the risk. So, I mean, I would recommend, based on, again, my years of experience, as well as all the clients that we're working on, standardization of the activities and deliverables to improve all these kind of alignments between the product management, the product development, and all those, the product marketing and other areas within the organization, and will definitely will make a difference. Now, since we already know that, that there will be, for sure, a ripple effect in the weeks and months to come, either within the while we are living the pandemic, and for sure once this whole thing is will be over, hopefully soon. Before getting deeper into a more specific one of my clients, I'd like to share with you a few additional action that product management can actually take to position the organization for success now and after the crisis has proceeded. Now, since there is no one size fits all, and there are kind of product managers on an early stage company, while product managers are sitting in the more established public companies, they have a very different experience to try to kind of build it in or put it together in a very practical way that will be useful to everyone. I try to split it into three, and this is what I'm going to kind of share in the following slides. Practical action for products that are in the market today, new product and enhancements in development, and product and concept at early stage. Let's just jump into the details. So from product in the market in the market today, I would say evaluate and consider adjusting the pricing and packaging at first. This isn't the time to do like a very, very significant changes to the pricing model. And I'm going to touch that when we talk about like the sales engagement and the sales mindset. However, I mean, some adjustments must be needed if customers' needs have changed. Obviously, it should be kind of reflect that. And I think that, and just to call on an example, I mean, there are some different pricing models, for example, that base on location or on sites. There is no one on site. I mean, everyone working from home. Maybe it's a time to rethink about it, and maybe change the metrics or kind of rethink this entire the entire approach. Maybe even consider like a low cost or a free offering. Something to think about. Monitoring the product engagement and responsive very rapidly. I think that's, I mean, again, organization with a robust usage and analytics capabilities, along with measure of the agile development approach, are very well positioned in that case. If you are not kind of part of it, I would highly recommend kind of go and figure that thing out. I think it's going to be very, obviously very helpful to make a smarter and a data-driven decision. So this is more about like the products in the market today. For a new product or enhancements in development, I would kind of look on three key points to explore and to think about. Increase the level of internal documentation. We kind of used to work either as a product managers, either co-located with the product development, or at least have co-located, or at least have like a certain level of remote communication. But I think that as a thumb rule, the farther you are kind of located from from the engineering as product managers, the better documentation needed. Think about it, that this talk over coffee, or all these kind of opportunities that were kind of obvious yesterday, I mean, are not obvious anymore. So don't be lazy, just go document everything that moves, and assume that there are tools out there in the market that will know what to do with all these kind of unstructured documents and help you to put some structure on this entire conversation. So it either in a structured way or in a not necessarily structured way, just document, just make that thing happen. Reconsider your launch dates and strategy. You're probably at this point when you already have the new product, and you are excited to just go and hit the market and get the market excited about your thing, or kind of a very significant enhancements in the development. Just keep a couple of things in mind, which maybe it's not the right timing. I mean, if the customers need it because their need change, for sure, yes. But if not necessarily, maybe it's better to wait a little bit with it. I mean, the market attention, the customer attention right now is not there right now. They are surviving, so they might not even kind of consider. The salespeople within your organization might actually scratch their heads right now. I mean, they see their pipeline drying, and in some different cases, they don't have the mental capacity right now to adjust and to start to get used to a new product and to launch a new product. So again, one of those different things to think about. And last but not least, just to value the requirements that have changed. I kind of already mentioned that. I mean, if the product is not kind of a perfectly aligned, or at least close to aligned to the needs that actually changed out there, they just put things on hold, rethink things, go back to the whiteboard if needed, and then it's better to postpone than just shoot something in the market that won't fit the most important thing, your customers and their customers' needs. So and other things to think about it. And last but not least, before jumping into the specific client case that I kind of love and excited to share with you, for product or concept that are in completely early stage, I mean, I would just a couple of thoughts there. Reconsider the research approach. Usually, I mean, we and specifically here in the Silicon Valley, we used to have a lot of meetups and in-person meetings and kind of go and then talk with the people and try to touch that. Obviously, that it's irrelevant anymore. So tools like many on different online tools, like surveying and some other things that you use use generally. I think that now it's time maybe to kind of to rethink about the approach and start to put some structure about it. And I think if it's a very well defined, I think that interview could be like a phone interview could be actually effective. So don't give up. I mean, there are some tools there, and it's not saying like, hey, if I'm not meeting these guys in person, then forget about it. Not necessarily. And although it's hard to think about identify potential future needs right now because everything is a little bit unpredictable, I do think and I do see here a lot of innovation. Actually, in many different cases, it's like one of the most innovative time I ever seen because of all these different changes. So just shift gears and quickly talk about the customer and the client that we're talking about, and how we actually bring all this framework or those different concepts, all this question actually into practice with this specific client. Again, a lot of businesses have been heavily impacted already from their losses. Just as an example, the data airlines anticipated that their passenger revenue kind of will drop by 90% in Q2. Well, not surprising. And the unfortunate situation in the US unemployment rate is past the 22%. So yeah, many different things to think about. So specifically about this client, we are talking about a public company with an early stage product. Still in February, everything looks very promising. By end of February, we thought that we have a very great, a great product that's heading to the right direction. And then things start to fall off. And by mid of March, actually, and within a very few days, I mean, from having a plan, we figured out that we have actually no plan, and then we need to kind of to rethink about it. So one of the things that actually I kept in my mind is that kind of a two gentlemen that on a completely different occasions, I remember they speak. One is Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, that always kind of claim that in a time of crisis, everything looks bad. It feels like the skies are going to fall. So I remember he said that just remember that to take a deep breath. I mean, making product decision in the state of a panic is tricky, because you will be too pessimistic, and you will take decisions based on the darkest narrative possible. So I kind of had that thing in mind, and also kind of an interesting angle from Ben Horowitz, which to make a long story short, I mean, it's 2008 when he was a CEO of a company, he always say like, hey, document things, and this actually could help him to get over his challenges. So I would say, like, a tip number one, kind of get out of your head and then put it on paper. Just write it down. I mean, with all the global product management team that we work with, I mean, all the product managers hang out there in the organization with great ideas about the solutions. Before that, with the problems that needs to be solved. Before that, with many different ideas, but nothing kind of were documented. Another phenomena that we had to take care of, and we saw as a potential issue that we had to fix, is basically a good instrumentation can make a huge difference. And just as an example, I mean, naturally in large organization, you could find many different teams on many different kind of an automation and instrumentation ways. So in this particular company, we found like one team that actually had no instrumentation, looking at the data on occasionally and on a monthly, but more than just a monthly basis. And as you can imagine, like I mean, they were not kind of super efficient. There was another team that actually had like a fully instrumented, and they could actually move much faster. And eventually we took them as an example and set the tone for the entire organization. So instrument early so that you know where you are is one of our kind of major lesson learned and takeaways from this specific project. Close tracking the dashboard, kind of, and then trying to dashboarding and precisely knew where things along. Now, wondering like if our customers for this specific line is still like and need the product and define the development as defined and developed, and is the core value proposition is still relevant, and if are we using the same challenge and everything. So we went kind of back a little bit for the whiteboard. And we did an interesting exercise that based on two key questions. Are the new deals still coming to which this product is still important as a component? And are we successful compete? Can we compete without this product in the portfolio moving forward? So to make a long story short here, the bottom line is that the answer for the first one was yes. The answer for the second one was no, and basically decision made supported with all the data that already collected, that we are keep going. So the key takeaway here and the lesson learned: assess the product if it's still relevant, and kind of keep going and do it continuously. So at that point, when we had everything documented, we have the instrumentation in place and everything, we still couldn't figure out like a very actionable and actionable plan. So we build a little bit of a framework, and before driving into an action, define your principles. And the principles in an order of importance that we build is retention, time to value, listen, and simplify. And what does that mean? And I know that we are running out of time, so I'm going to rush it a little bit, but at least give you some ideas, and we can always kind of take things offline, whoever interested. So the retention part, one of the things that we did is we identified 5 product improvement that was important for the retention. 3 of them were kind of a small but very impactful things that we managed to squeeze within the existing sprint, and 2 kind of a medium size that the priorities into the upcoming release. So again, retention was the first one. The second thing is that we looked into the time to value. We use the methodology of the start, stop, continuing exercise, and kind of in the lens of the time to value. And then we kind of ran this through this quarter, like literally Q2. And the outcome was like we had 2 initiatives started, like one initiative that we had to just kill. It was not really relevant to support. And in one, we reduced the scope, and 4 initiatives, we keep going. Listen, and I think that this is one of the most important and foundational things. Listen to your customers. Just speak with them as much as possible. We specifically here, since the month of April, we talk with more than 20 different customers and customers interview. We try to take from different angles and from different kind of flavors of the customers. Some of the kind of 3 recession proof, and the other 3 affected industries. And again, the interesting outcome from that was like 2 out of the 3 opportunities is still in affected industries. But the interesting byproduct of it that eventually it's built a pipeline which was actually even stronger than before, because we could do the right adjustments. And last but not least is simplification, more from the process and the internal team perspective. We found many product teams that were not aligned, but with a highly dependency between them, and we had to simplify that because the overhead was just too crazy and irrelevant. So to close my talk, I think at last but not least is just to use the example of Herbert Julie, the CEO of Best Buy. When in 2012, when he stepped into his role, the organization was a complete mess. And he was overwhelmed with all the amount of things that needs to happen, and he made a very strategic decision. And as he kind of quoted in the Wall Street Journal, he said, like, I mean, I don't care about all these kind of big bangs. I wanted to do like a small steps, but something like something very impactful. And the most important thing is just move. He actually compared his strategy to riding a bike for the first time. I mean, you don't want to do it to go fast, but it's a lot easier to make course corrections once you're moving. And we took it and implemented very seriously, kind of in this. And this is for me like the final tip for my talk. It's just, you can stay there and you can think forever about what to do. In some cases, just take an action. Just start to move, and then just make the course correction kind of on the go. And again, to summarize, just to summarize, get it out of your head on paper, do the instrumentation, assess continuously before taking action. Just define your North Star and a few key principles to help you to put some structure and the data. I mean, just collect this whole thing and do the analysis, and most importantly, don't standing still. Just make correction on the move. And last, and I know that I stretch it, and sorry for that, Noy, just something that I ran into, I thought it's kind of interesting as a tip of those that using any of your social media communication channels of your choice. Again, just my boss turned herself into a potato on a Microsoft Teams meeting, but unfortunately she couldn't actually figure out how to turn it off. And she just kind of finished this meeting this way. So again, if you make such moves, just make sure that you know how to recover. Thank you very much. And Ashley, back to you, and sorry for stretching my time to the end.
Thank